Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Boku no Hero Academia, Chapter 188. Now, I usually don't do reviews or review sections or whatever for the manga anymore. And the reason for it is basically because I try to put enough detail and just take my time reading when I do the live reactions now and discuss stuff as I'm going through doing the live reactions and all that. I try to do that well enough that I usually don't miss anything, really, and even if I do go back and read and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I didn't really bring it up in the reaction or talk about it too much in the reaction, it's usually not a big enough deal to merit its own video or anything. But this chapter was just so good. And I read it back, I read it while gathering stuff, gathering images to use for the thumbnail, which I'll likely use basically the same thumbnail for this video because there's only a limited amount of things I can do without spoiling the anime-only watchers, and I don't want to do that. I care about them too. So, yeah. I read it a bunch, and each time there was just so much to talk about that I didn't discuss during the reaction, and so much more that I noticed. And I discussed it with a bunch of friends and stuff, and I really love this chapter. This is probably one of the better chapters in the series, because there's just so much to get into and discuss with mostly Endeavor's character, but just the story in general. And I love how there's so much symbolism that all works together. There's so many things that every little interaction is important and they all come back eventually and make sense in the context of the story. And also there's a lot to talk about where this could go, where this could lead. So I'll start at the beginning, kind of. I had to talk about this, I had to review it because it was really brilliant and emotional. But starting out, Endeavor is fighting High End, of course, and paying attention to the quirks that High End is using. We've got jets, and of course he's using, well, I guess that's similar to Gran Torino's, very similar. But he has jets in his shoulders, allowing him to fly around. He has shape-shifting, using it to change his arms and stuff to attack. He has enhancement, and he has power. And I think the distinction there is when he talks about power, he's just talking about his general strength. Like, he can get hit by a girder and lift it off himself. He has general just power. And enhancement comes in strengthening his attacks. So he's not just powerful, but he can also enhance himself to make himself even more powerful in his attacks. And also regeneration. Then we see a sixth. He can summon the White Nomu, and I was a little unclear. I thought he was saying cell division, like, that's what it is. But no, he was thinking to himself, he can summon the White Nomu, and he's saying, is that cell division or is it storage? Is he storing them and bringing them out? So I like how he's trying to piece together what all the quirks that High End is using are. And honestly, High End is seeming almost like an even more badass version of what All for One. Not stronger, because All for One can just take out chunks of a city in a punch, but more badass just in the style and everything. I really, really love High End as a villain. But through his use of that and through the things that he's been saying as he's been fighting, Endeavor can tell that High End is planning and strategizing. He's using the White Nomus to minimize distractions so he can focus on Endeavor. So he's not just sentient, but he's intelligent. And we get into Endeavor's weakness, which I think is great, because he used that big attack last time, and it's making his weakness start to affect him, and his weakness is overheating. As he overheats and keeps using his quirk, his physical functions weaken. He gets slower, he gets weaker, and I love it, because first it tells us why he chose ice, and of course he's having those flashbacks to Rei and to his kids and to Shoto, and saying, that's why I needed you and stuff. And it all made sense. It was because of his weakness. He didn't choose ice as a quirk because ice is really cool and powerful and all that. No pun intended with the cool. But he chose it because it covers his weakness. He chose a quirk that would cover the weakness of his own quirk by being able to cool himself down. And that's why Todoroki's kind of the perfect form of each of the hot and cold quirks being able to balance the other's weakness. And I think it's kind of beautifully written that early in the story we had Todoroki being built up throughout the first few arcs, and his weakness, despite being one of the strongest students, was that overuse of his quirk would slow him down and make him weaker because he was getting too cold. And the solution to that was to finally use his fire side to be able to balance the temperature of his body. So I love that it's sort of the opposite of Shoto's weakness, Endeavor's weakness is. And it's just such great writing. It feels somewhat like foreshadowing, but just generally like a really good juxtaposition. It's really, really good. Also with that flashback, Todoroki 3, the Todoroki 3, the emo one, is totally Dabi. Why else on earth would we... At this point I feel like it'd be disappointing if it wasn't Dabi, because then it feels like a lot of Dabi's development comes from people suspecting that he is a Todoroki. And without that, Dabi is a whole hell of a lot less developed without that theory and assumption. But it also means that we haven't been introduced to Todoroki 3, and us not being introduced to him kind of makes him a weak character, since we're seeing the reactions of all these other characters that are related to Endeavor, and we're getting to see different perspectives from the different characters, whether it's Rei or Fuyumi or Natsuo or Shoto, where Shoto's got this deep connection to the abuse and all that. Rei has her own definite complicated relationship with Endeavor. We've seen her here and there. She's been living with Endeavor this whole time, and yet at the same time, though she's been living there, we've kind of built up a slight connection to her, and we're seeing her reactions, and we're also seeing the reactions of Natsuo, who is somebody new. We're getting to see the reactions of a new character, but we've seen that his relationship with Endeavor is that he's very mad at him, and he says he can't stand him or really find a way to forgive him for what he did to Rei and Shoto. So we're seeing the reactions of all those characters, and it's weird to leave that one out if he isn't Dabi. Then I love Natsuo was wearing a Black Clover shirt as well. I was like, I see the reference there. That was cool. And Waifu Yumi, so cute, little Waifu Yumi. Then Endeavor uses Prominence Burn, his kind of big last-ditch effort attack, really, to burn away High-End's body. Now, the Jimenez box made this thing confusing, because they were like, he's throwing his head, and that's how he's attacking. I was like, wait, I don't understand. So I read some other translations, and I kind of got a better idea, because even in the reaction I was a little confused, but I didn't want to spend too much time figuring it out, because I was like, it doesn't look like he throws his head. But what happened is Endeavor was saying he survived by throwing his head, now he's attacking. Not word for word, but that's kind of the gist of it. And that makes a lot more sense, is when Endeavor used Prominent Burn and it burned away his body, the way High-End survived was High-End tore his head off, threw it, and then the head regenerated the body so it could attack again. And that was how it dodged Prominence Burn, by just saying, oh shit, throw my head away. Just, so genius. Such a good character. I freaking love High-End so much. So, yeah, he survived by doing that. Then his head regenerates and attacks. And I think that the next 2, maybe 3 pages are some of the manga's best series of pages, rivaling some of the stuff in the All Might vs. All for One fight. So first we see the panels up at the top with Waifu Yumi's reaction, but we see the flower, we have Rei, we have the children who supposedly were kind of upset with him and weren't on the best terms with him right now, really worried and caring about him. We have Rei reading the letters, and the flower is kind of the sign that there might be some reconciliation possible there. And even with this flashback, it seems like at first we got this cold part of their relationship. Again, no puns intended. But we got this look at their relationship that made it seem like it was all brutal, like it was all abusive. But the more we see, whether we saw that panel with Todoroki's first day of school, his like kindergarten picture with a younger Endeavor and his mom there with him, and it feels like there's more to it that we haven't seen yet, and that it only devolved into being that way because of Endeavor's drive to surpass All Might. And now that he's the number 1 hero, he realizes that was wrong, of course. And I feel like it's a good road to reconciliation. But we see those panels, and they're really important. But one of the best things, and probably the best thing I think everyone should take from the chapter, one of the deepest written things here, is Endeavor getting his face cut like that. That one big panel was not to say, oh, it's so brutal, oh, it's so shocking or scary, even though it is. It's really cool and awesome. The biggest thing about it to me, Rei scarred Shoto because Shoto looked like Endeavor. Because she was scared of Endeavor in the moment, I guess. Maybe it had a part of making him not look like Endeavor, but it was probably just sort of shock and spur of the moment type thing. But we know that she did it because he looked like Endeavor. Now, by fate, Endeavor has been scarred on the same eye to look exactly like Todoroki, or to look like Shoto. So even though she scarred Shoto, now Endeavor is scarred to look the same again. So I don't know, especially when we're on this sort of redemption reconciliation arc, it's really beautiful imagery, especially when the next panel we see after seeing Endeavor's face cut like that is seeing nothing but Shoto's face. A close-up, high-detail panel of Shoto's face. So good. And then I love Aizawa being a dad, getting Harry away from the screen, saying he's rushing to go check on Todoroki, go to Todoroki's room. And then we have Todoroki's friends and he himself watching on, really concerned. And man, I love it so much. It sets High End up as an incredibly legit villain. A villain that takes out the strongest hero, but it makes Endeavor the symbol. Whether it's a symbol of strength, a symbol of peace, whatever, it makes him the symbol. Because, I said it before, All Might's last job wasn't to take down All for One. All Might's last job was to stand triumphantly, to be that symbol. To say, no matter how strong you are, villains, you're screwed. And to say to the people, hey, it's okay, you can be safe and live in peace. So his last job was to stand in triumph, not to actually defeat him. And in this Endeavor becoming the symbol, he's not becoming the symbol because he surpassed All Might. He's not becoming the symbol because he beat High End. He's becoming the symbol by being believed in, by having people feel sympathy for him. Even the people who thought they really didn't like him, even the people who thought they hated him maybe, his family, they believed in him. We saw the care and the concern in their face. So this is how Endeavor becomes the symbol. We had all this build-up with him talking to All Might, with him promising to be a hero that Shoto can look up to, and now everyone cares about him, and that's how he became that hero. Not by the simple strength that he put his hopes in before, but because of something deeper than that. And for where it goes in the future, all of this was amazing and incredible. I'm not even going to give it a score, but I thought it was so brilliant. I guess 10 out of 10 if I was going to give it one, but ways I can see it going from here. The bad end, so to speak, Endeavor just dies, and the development happens without him actually being there. I think that's kind of the weakest way to go with it. The good end, Endeavor gets up and sort of, I don't want to say pulls out a power of friendship moment, but everybody's cheering him on, everybody cares about him, but now they've seen him get taken down by a villain, and he gets up, fights through, wins a hard-fought, kind of bloody victory to show that he's not willing to give up or anything. The people cheer him on, see him standing in victory as the new #1 hero, and that could be a good way that it could be written. But what I'm going to call the true ending, the way that I would really like to see it go, is that High End just leaves for now. He says, okay, well, I need to find a stronger hero or something. So while High End's off doing other villain things, or maybe High End is still under the control or orders of somebody like Shigaraki can call him back for now or whatever, but Endeavor survives, he recovers. High End can serve as a good villain, and we can see whether he's off searching for new strong heroes or whether he's off with Shigaraki and the rest of the league. We can have his personality and character be developed, and we can learn more about him other than just being a mindless monster. A mindless monster that can think. But we could have High End develop as a villain while having Endeavor recover and reconcile with his family, and then after he reconciles with his family, he's able to grow stronger, both as a person and maybe find ways to grow stronger with his quirk, and he figures out a strategy for facing high end, and then they fight. The next time they fight, Endeavor wins. I think that would be the most beautiful way to write it, is to have high end go off and get more developed so that it means more when he is defeated, and then have Endeavor recover and get developed and reconcile with his family and use that, and then go and be able to defeat high end next time. I think that's the best way the future could be written. But either way, I just wanted to talk about this chapter a bunch because I absolutely loved it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So I'll end it here. Like if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more. This might be my favorite chapter in the whole manga. I don't know. It's hard to say that because some of the All Might vs. All for One chapters were just so good. My Hero was really good. But yeah, there are so many good chapters, but this might be it might be my all-time favorite. I don't know. Oh no, the end where Stain gives his speech after saving Izuku, that is such a good chapter. I have no clue what I would say is the best, but this is up there. So either way, like I said, comment, tell me what you thought of my thoughts or what you thought of this chapter. Subscribe for more Boku no Hero Academia, both anime and manga. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us there, then just ask and I'll give you a link to it. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.